Hey, it's Dennis here. Welcome back to the shop. Today I want to talk to you about my Drake knife collection. The Drake knife is a little bit more of an advanced knife, an intermediate to advanced knife. I'll tell you a little bit why a little further down the video, but first I wanted to mention that this video is not sponsored by Drake. I'm not sponsored by Drake. This is just my opinions and what I like and dislike about the Drake knives. There's not a whole lot of dislikes, I'll tell you that right off the bat. So let's take a look at the collection. I've got a rough out knife, a couple of detail knives, a very small detail knife, a very tiny little guy, and I also have a V-gouge from Drake. This is a 75 millimeter or 75 degree V-gouge, and we'll talk a little bit about the differences in the gouges in this video as well. First off, the handles. They're all handmade. They're very nicely polished. Very comfortable in the hand. That's probably one of the nicest thing about Drake knives is their comfort level in the hand. If you're curious about these little knife protectors or blade protectors, I've got a video on that, and we'll include a link down in the description to that video. The knives are very well polished. They have a nice finish to them. They're very thin knife. I'm not sure if this is coming through here on the video. A very thin knife, and so that makes them for, first of all, let me pop on my glove here. I always wear a glove, especially these days with COVID. I don't want to be going to the hospital. These knives are very polished, and they cut through like butter. Okay, the thinness of the blade is what's really key here. All right, so let's take a look at the different knives that I have here. First of all, I got this really cool little mini detail. This is about a 3/4 inch blade. Let's just give it a measure here. We'll go on inches, and yeah, this is a 3/4 of an inch blade. Very nice for doing detail work. And we've got next one here is the 1 inch blade, and we'll just double check that to make sure I got my measurements correct. Yeah, it's an inch blade, and nice for very nice, very thin. Okay, the blades are super well polished and very thin, and so they cut through material like butter. Okay, there is just no resistance when your blade is this thin. We'll just do a comparison here. There's a flex cut detail. Okay, and so take a look at the thickness of the blade in comparison. All right, I'll just bring the hand here, and maybe this is better here. There we go. You can see the difference there. So what the thinner blade will do for you is well, it just goes through material. You're not pushing metal through wood, you're just pushing the blade. I won't worry about the protectors right now. Next up is 1.25 inches. Okay, that one there. Inch and 1/4 inch. You know, very similar knives. The handles are pretty much the same. Very similar knives. Again, they push through butter. Next one up, 1.5 inches. Okay. Again, very similar. This is probably my most used knife. If you watched my video on my Go kit, okay, or my Go box, this is the knife that lives in there. Actually, I have another one that lives in there. It's the same brand. And then we go up to 1.75 inches. Okay. Now you'll notice all of my blades are straight. They do make skewed blades and curved blades for different carving. I do caricatures. Okay, so for me, the straight blades are what really works for me. I've tried pelican cuts, I've tried skew cuts, but it's just not the blade that does it for me. This blade here, this is a 2-inch blade, and this is called the Gill Special. It's got a different handle. It's the only one that's got a different handle. They're super comfortable in your hand. This one here is meant to push a lot of wood. Okay, so when we're doing rough outs, okay, this guy here just pushes a lot of wood out, and having this handle the way it is, I mean, it's just meant to give you knife control. And look at how smooth that edge is. Okay. This knife just pushes an awful lot of stuff. The smaller wood or a smaller blade again, it pushes it even that much easier. Okay, but it's not going to grab the same amount of material as the big gill. So that's the difference. That's why you want different knives. Now, why do I have so many? Well, I do different caricatures. When I'm working on something like this guy and I'm doing a rough out, I want the big gill, all right? So I want to be able to push an awful lot of material out. If I'm just working on a little bit of detail on a face, well, I may want just this little guy here to go in around the eyes, or I may want to go with something like this type of detail knife here. And that way I can work in around, and I can just go in there and shave little pieces off, okay, and have control on my blade. And look at that little tiny piece of wood that I've taken off there just to create a lower eyelid. Or same thing in around the nose. If I want to just have full control, that's where the thin blade really comes in handy. Now, if I'm working detail, say getting into a detail on in around the neck here, this is where I want the longer blade to come in so that I can dig in there and my handle is not interfering. If I'm trying to do that work with this knife here, you'll see that you know, my interference is there. I just can't get in there. So that's where I want the longer blade. So that's an explanation in a nutshell. The other thing is the V-tool. All right, so this is a shallow V-tool. Look at the polish on that. It's just absolutely flawless and razor sharp. And so the V-tool allows me to come in here and remove material in a hurry. If I'm roughing out in around the arms here, I'll push all of this material out with the V-tool. All right, it just saves me from going in there and doing stop cuts and pushes. This just clears off an awful lot of material. Now, I did promise you earlier that I would talk about the different degrees. Here is a 120 degree V-tool. All right, so you can see that that's a deep V. This one here is more of a shallow V. And look at the difference on those. I'm hoping that this is going to come out all right here without being too crowded in the background. But you can see there the difference of the depths of the V's. All right, so bear that in mind when you're ordering a V-tool, what degree you want. I have a number of them. I have them in variant levels of degree. All right, so that I can do different jobs. But this one here is a well-used tool. It gets used an awful lot. I talked about the comfort of the big gill. Okay, I really did, and I just love how that fits in your hand. It's just meant for pushing wood. This handle here, again, is extremely comfortable because it sits right in the palm of your hand, at least for my hand. Okay, that's going to change for different folks, but that just fits for me, and it gives me an area here where I can push. It's comfortable. My fingers wrap around, and then I get the grip for knife control right through here. Very comfortable. And if you're curious about my my little stand here, well, that is a DIY stand. It's not something made by Drake. It's something that I made here. And it's simply 3 pieces of wood, actually 4 pieces of wood, the bottom shelf, the backing, the front and the rear of the knife guide. And I've got a plan for those that I drew up. And we'll include that, put a frame of this right at the end of the video. And so you can do a frame grab and create something of yours for your knives. Now, I'll just mention that I didn't put a dimension here on my particular one. It's 3 1/4 inches from the bottom to the top here. So this distance here, 3 1/4 inches. That's just for my knives. If you're making this for different knives, your dimensions are going to vary. I do use the knife protector in here to protect the blade. If you are not going to be using a knife protector or a blade protector, I would suggest that you make this a soft pine or put a little leather strip across the bottom here so that when you drop your knives in, it's not going to damage the blade. Now, I did say that I was going to talk about my likes and dislikes. And well, the dislikes, there's just not that many. There's only one. I'm not even going to call it a dislike. I'm going to call it a caution. All right. Let me go and grab my flex cut here again, and we're going to talk about the knife tip. Okay. That's not a fair example because I've modified that one. Let's grab this one here. This is a knife made by Fell. This is a Swiss-made knife. I'm going to talk about these guys a little bit further in the series here in the different knives. But what I want you to look at, okay, we'll just put that one down. What I want you to look at here is look at the tip. Look at the edge of the tip. We'll grab this here so you can see. And this knife here, you can see on the tip, it's quite a bit thicker, okay, than this knife here. Now, if I change the profile here and we just bring that this way, you can see that the point of the knife is quite different as well. Okay, that one, I mean, it's a needle point, where this one here, it's pointy. Don't get me wrong, it's very pointy, but it's not the same amount of point as that. So where you have to be where you have to be careful with this type of a tip is that you don't want to be when you're getting into detail. If you're doing let's go on the smooth side here. If you're doing a little push cut here with the tip, you got to be very careful that you don't twist it, okay, while you're making your little cut, because sure as heck, if you twist it, okay, that little chip of wood is just enough that it's going to either break or bend your tip. Okay, I've done it. I bent and broke off the tip of my big gill here just in a moment where I was not being careful. Now, it's not the end of the world. Actually, Drake, I'll include a link in the description that Drake actually has a video and shows how to repair your tip. Now, they are warranted, okay, and you can send it back to Drake, and they will repair your tip for you and send it back to you. As a matter of fact, when I broke mine, I just sent them an email to let them know that I'd broken it. It was actually on the very first day that I took out the knife. They immediately said to me, send us the knife and we will mail it back to you at no charge, and they'll repair it. Well, for me, being in Canada and with the COVID restrictions and everything else, mail from the US is incredibly slow. It took me close to 6 weeks to get my knife from Gill, my knives from Gill when I ordered them. So I didn't want to be sending it back and then waiting 12 weeks or up to 12 weeks to get the knife back. So I did the repair myself. It was very, very easy to do, and the knife is as good as new. All right, so that's my only cautionary thing on Drake knives, is the tips are fragile, so you have to be mindful of that. And if you are, everything else about these knives is absolutely fantastic. Well, that's my review on Drake knives. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, give me a thumbs down. That's okay. But do me a favor. Let me know what you didn't like about the video, and that way I can make it better for the next one. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I've got a whole bunch of different videos coming up, so hit the notification bell as well. That way you'll know exactly when they're posted. For that, that's it. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.